Welcome back, black and gold fans and college football fans alike, to the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. This is my instant reaction and recap to Iowa's 15-6 victory over Wisconsin on the road up in Madison. Wow, what a big time victory this was for Iowa, and definitely a good day to be a Hawkeye fan. Happy Sunday morning to you and yours. Wow. Just that's the one thing I want to start off by saying is big time. That's exactly what this win means for Iowa moving forward. And in doing so, with Iowa's victory, they improved to 3-1 in Big Ten conference play, 6-1 overall. And with the loss, Wisconsin falls to 2-1 in Big Ten conference play and 4-2 overall. But wow, I mean, the Big Ten West completely is still up for grabs. Now, today's episode, I'm going to make it fairly short. I'd say 15 to 20 minutes max. As you can tell, I'm a little bit nasally this morning. That's what happens the morning after when I indulge in a few too many cocktails, which is what I did last night. Plus, I want to get you back to your families on this Sunday morning. So this is going to be a lot more monologue, I think, compared to what I normally do on these instant reaction and recap episodes. There is a lot for me to state with what happens. Where do we go from here as Iowa fans and also Wisconsin fans? And as always, guys, I want to thank you for your support, your time, your attention. And if this is your first time with me here, I always encourage your participation. Please get involved. Comment, like, share, subscribe. You, the college football fan, are the ones who drive these episodes. I promise, if you leave me a comment, I will get back to each and every one of you individually. So please get involved. Let your voice be heard, especially you Wisconsin fans. I definitely want to hear from you as well. This is a safe haven for all things college football. I mean, yes, obviously I'm an Iowa fan, but first and foremost, I am a college football fan and not a Homer Simpson. So I want to hear from all of you, black and gold fans, Badger fans, and all of you football fans out there. Please get involved, and I do appreciate it, and I look forward to your comments. So this is what happened yesterday inside of Madison. I mean, the Iowa offense just continues to be consistent, which is not the consistency that you would want, but obviously it continues to work. And I said this last week, following that 20-14 victory over Purdue, that this is just how it's going to be this year with this Iowa offense. And unfortunately, moving forward, it might be even worse because midway through the first quarter, Iowa's best offensive weapon, tight end Erick All, was helped off the field and then carted to the locker room. Apparently has a knee or a lower leg injury. He was on the sideline in street clothes later in the contest. But if we're going to be without him for numerous games or potentially the entire rest of the season, it's going to be that more difficult for this already handicapped and offensively challenged offense that we have here at Iowa. But let's go ahead and just celebrate this victory for what it is. We'll have to wait and see what his status is going to be moving forward. So it's just one of those things. That's one of my first observations from this game as an Iowa fan, is on the sideline late in the third quarter, there was a shot, as far as a panoramic view of on the sideline, 3 cats for Iowa are there side by side, and by side, I guess, with 3 of them, in street clothes. And these are 3 potential all Big Ten performers. I'm talking about transfer quarterback Cade McNamara is in street clothes, Luke Lachey, their stud tight end who broke his ankle, I believe it was in week 3. We knew he was going to be out for the season. And there's Erick All, also on the sideline in street clothes. I mean, these are three huge losses for this Iowa offense. I mean, I said this preseason, guys, Iowa's best offensive weapons or weapon, when you combine them, was going to be that dynamic duo of tight ends. And here we're looking at having them both on the sidelines for the remainder of the season, coupled with losing your starting quarterback. I mean, it's going to be UGLY. You ain't got no alibi the rest of the season. Okay, it just is. My takeaways from this game, as far as identifying stars or standout performers or performances from each team. Now, Wisconsin, it was a little bit difficult to really say this one or two cats had standout games, because it was very inconsistent and really for both teams. But for Wisconsin, I've got to give props to their kicker, the one individual, the one unit, that special teams unit, the only unit that put points on the board. I'm going to give a quick shout out to Nathaniel Vakos, I believe his name is. Nathaniel Vakos was 2 of 2 kicking field goals with a long of 52 and a pretty legit little crosswind and swirling wind there inside Camp Randall. So excellent job for the field goal kicker. And Braylon Allen, I've got to give him a shout out. I mean, they knew what they were going to be up against. They knew that Iowa was going to make them have to pass to beat them. They sold out against the run. We saw numerous times where they stacked the box, which is very un-Iowa-like. Not really a lot of blitzing. I mean, that happened maybe later in the game when Tanner Mordecai departed, and I'll get to that here in a little bit more. But Braylon Allen really, you could tell, was really putting this team on his back, on his shoulders. But what a defensive struggle it was. There were some huge hits delivered to Braylon Allen in that backfield, and you could tell by the end of the game, he was the walking wounded. I mean, definitely shook up, was a little bit rusty, injured, but he tried to play through it. I mean, his final numbers, he carried the ball for 18 times for 87 yards. A good average, 4.8 yards. Not bad against this very stout Iowa front seven, but I just wish that maybe Wisconsin would have maybe fed him the ball sooner than what they did. I mean, if Braylon Allen ends up having 30 carries, let's say, I think this is a much closer ball game, if not maybe even Wisconsin winning this game. But Braylon Allen, you could tell, was really, really dealing with a lot of the pressure and stress of, hey, I need to perform. I need to do something to help this team out. So props to him. Hopefully he is 100% good to go for next week's big game at Illinois for Wisconsin. And I'll talk more about the week to come here shortly. But yeah, definitely a little banged up. So big ups to Braylon Allen for hanging in there and doing the best he could. I mean, the guy is an absolute stud. And I wish that, once again, they just would have fed him the ball a little bit sooner. Now for Iowa, I mean, one star that I do want to give props to, there's two of them, okay? Now, it's not going to be running back LaShawn Williams Jr., who ended up having, I think, 174 yards rushing, a career high. The play of the game was that long 82-yard touchdown run, obviously, that one touchdown that was put on the scoreboard by either team. That ended up being enough, and it did. But to me, that wasn't really the big-time show-up, show-out, standout star. That was the play of the game, but really was just that one long 82-yard touchdown run. That's really what it was. I've got to say, I mean, when I watch this game, and to be 100% transparent, because that's how I am with you guys, I love you, wouldn't lie to you, I didn't watch this game real time. I had a fall family event for the company I work for yesterday afternoon, but I was able to get in the car and I listened to the last 10 minutes of the game driving home, and that's really all I had to really listen to or watch real time. I mean, I was doing enough phone watching here and there, but I watched it late last night after watching the Missouri-Kentucky game. Had a couple friends over since I do reside here in the Show Me State, in a big victory for Mizzou on the road to knock off Kentucky. But I got to tell you, watching that game, I mean, Sebastian Castro, I'm just going to start calling him the human missile, okay? He's all over the field. He continues to throw his body out there with reckless abandon. I mean, just delivered some huge blows. I mean, on everybody. The entire backfield of Wisconsin. I mean, running backs, quarterbacks. I mean, the guy was all over the field. Every big play defensively for this Iowa defensive unit, he was involved in. I mean, and looking at his final stats, I mean, they really kind of speak for themselves. What? Seven tackles, 2 tackles for loss. He did break up 1 pass. He ended up having the interception at the very end of the game with under a minute to go. And that he probably could have taken that interception to the house. It could have been a pick 6, but he did the right thing. He just fell on the ground to a knee just to run out the clock. But this guy was all over the field, jarring the ball loose and delivering big-time hits. So Sebastian Castro is my first star for Iowa. Now, the second one, I mean, the best player on the field yesterday, this guy continues to be Iowa's MVP for the season. I'm talking about the punter to the stars. I love how Brock Heward called him that yesterday during the broadcast. But my guy, Tory Taylor, the punter from down under, continues to be Iowa's MVP. Not just this season, but the last 2 seasons, actually. I mean, the guy continues to just perform at the highest of all levels. I mean, he's got an NFL career. This guy is going to be a first-team All-Big Ten, first-team All-American, and I think he could win the Ray Guy Award. I mean, yesterday's performance is something you're not going to see hardly ever. I mean, just out of control, consistent. The final numbers for Tory Taylor, I mean, they speak for themselves. I mean, he had 10 punts yesterday, averaged 50 yards per punt. I mean, that is excellent, especially with those wind conditions that I mentioned in Camp Randall yesterday. 50-yard average with a long of 62 yards. And of those 10, 6 were inside the 20-yard line. And of those 6, 3 were inside the 10. And it would have been a 4th if not for a very, very clumsy, reckless penalty in the 4th quarter, running into the returner after calling for a fair catch, an interference call, which pushed the ball out 15 more yards. That would have been a 4th inside the 10-yard line. I mean, the guy's the best in the country. He just is. And that's continues to be Iowa's offense right now as a team. Live, laugh, punt. I mean, isn't that ridiculous? That's just where we are. Well, we already knew that punting was winning as Iowa fans, but yeah, live, laugh, punt. I love that sign 2 weeks ago on College Game Day. It was just something else. Iowa's new offensive philosophy or team philosophy. Loved it. So Tory Taylor, yeah. I mean, the star of all stars, the standout of all standouts yesterday, along with that Iowa defensive unit, which just continues to just do what they do. I mean, what a game. Now, what was not a game was the Iowa vertical attack, the passing attack, which was non-existent again. Deacon Hill's number, I mean, ended up throwing for 37 total yards passing, which is ridiculous, just pathetic. He went 6 of 14 for 37 yards, 0 touchdowns. But this is what he didn't do. He didn't turn the ball over. He didn't put the Iowa offense in a terrible situation or position. And Iowa didn't turn the ball over at all. Wisconsin had 2 turnovers, so Iowa won that big battle, which always it comes down to with who is just cleaner in this matchup. Iowa did execute much better. 0 turnovers to 2. They won that. They also won the penalty battle. I believe Iowa was penalized 5 times and Wisconsin for 7 times. So very few penalties in this game. But it came down to special teams and defense, all those boxes that Iowa had to check to get that victory. They did. So they definitely played cleaner. But yeah, Deacon Hill, all we can ask for is hopefully there's some improvement from the passing game. I don't expect much this season at all, especially now with Eric All being sidelined. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I mean, a win's a win, and this is a big victory. Now, one thing, I want to give a little bit of commentary on this, all right? I'm going to start off with Wisconsin first. That, I wanted to see how Wisconsin media outlets and fans, how they were reacting to this loss. And I was a little bit surprised because it seems like, from my perspective, and Wisconsin fans, please get involved. I mean, I'm not knocking or putting salt in a wound. I've said this before on this channel during previous episodes. You guys are the gold standard program in the Big Ten West during the last 2 decades. You have been. You're a better program. You've been much more consistent than Iowa, and you've had our number for the most part during that time frame. It's like Wisconsin fans and the media really believe that it was going to be, the West Division was going to be theirs for the taking this season. Obviously, it was a tough loss at home, but it seemed like the expectation in Madison was to, hey, we're going to win the Big Ten West or bust. Anything less than that is going to be viewed as a disappointing down season. And I really disagree with that. I do, because I said this preseason, all right, that I believed the programs that were going to get it done this season to be in the running for the West Division were going to be those who had stability, continuity, and an identity. And I did not pick Wisconsin or Iowa to win the West. I picked Illinois preseason. I think Wisconsin, going through that transition to the Dairy Raid, which, quite honestly, guys, it's not working up there. It's just not. I thought that it was going to take a couple seasons to install this brand new identity and scheme under first-year coach Luke Fickell. So I did not. I actually picked Wisconsin to finish 3rd in the Big Ten West behind Illinois and Iowa. And so I don't think it was something that should have been, hey, our expectation is, hey, we're going to Indy. That's the only thing that we're going to do that can happen. I didn't think that that's fair, all right? Hiring Luke Fickell was the right call. It is. The guy is going to pay dividends. It's an investment, but you can't just change your philosophy and identity overnight to a total 180. Right now, you guys don't have the personnel to run the Dairy Raid offense. You just don't. But be patient, because eventually you're going to leapfrog where Iowa is offensively. You are, okay? So it's just not working up there. This Dairy Raid's going to take a couple seasons to install, get the players in there who can run it more effectively. It didn't help that Tanner Mordecai left late in the second quarter with a hand injury. But the guy coming in only threw, 3 touchdown passes anyway. I mean, it's still more like Wisconsin of old. Ground and pound still should be the first option right now offensively. It should be, and it needs to be up there in Wisconsin. Iowa, I'm going to say this right now. A lot of people are saying that Iowa is now, a lot of Hawkeye fans, and I'm talking to some of you, all right, not me, that Iowa is now guaranteed to win the West. They're going to get it done. We need to pump the brakes on that, Hawkeye fans, all right? There's still a lot of football to play. Iowa is going to lose at least 1, if not 2 more games this season. This offense is not sustainable. The defense and special teams cannot perform at this level week in and week out. If they do, it would be basically unworldly, kind of that phenomena, that anomaly. If they do, they'll lose at least 1 game someplace, if not 2, okay? So this victory yesterday is big, but it does not guarantee a Big Ten West title. It does not. And I'm going to say this. Yesterday, obviously, Iowa now is the favorite right now to win the division with that head-to-head tiebreaker. But yesterday was not the biggest game. This week's game coming up, we come home, we take on Minnesota for the Floyd of Rosedale Trophy. I think the best trophy in all of college football. I mean, you got to love the Divine Swine. That this is the biggest game of the season coming up this week. Without these offensive playmakers, I mean, a big-time victory. Iowa right now is on cloud nine, and they should enjoy this victory, but they must get themselves refocused and back to ground level. If they come in, Minnesota also has problems offensively, but you know they're going to try to play a physical game just like Iowa, and they have that installed culture and identity and stability under PJ Fleck. So this is the biggest game of the season coming up. Iowa cannot afford to have a letdown game or a letdown situation come back to bite them in the you-know-what. But if it does happen, it happens. Because like I said, I think they'll lose at least one, if not two more games. Okay? So this is the biggest game of the year coming up. And then Iowa goes into a bye week, which really is going to be a perfect time for that. You can tell they're banged up, they're bruised. They need a week off to heal, get Deacon Hill more reps at quarterback. So the biggest game of the year is coming up against Minnesota in week 8. I'm telling you, and it is. So please do not come out with a letdown game. Come out focused, all right? And you know, PJ Fleck would like nothing more than to ruin Iowa's party. A guy who has yet to defeat Kirk Ferentz in Iowa since he took over up there in the Twin Cities. He would love to do that. And another thing for Iowa fans quickly, I've seen this, and I'm going to call some of you out because also saying it's a guaranteed Big Ten West crown, not yet. Illinois, with their big win yesterday on the road at Maryland, they're right back in the mix. I think they will defeat Wisconsin next week in Champaign, really because Wisconsin is so beat up now from this game against Iowa. But then losing at home like Illinois did to Nebraska 2 weeks ago, that might come back to haunt them. I still think Illinois is going to get right back into this race. But I'm going to say this right now to Hawkeye fans out there who are saying this, because I'm seeing it everywhere written, posted. I'm hearing it about, oh, big deal if Iowa wins the West and goes to Indy and gets embarrassed by one of the three-headed monster of Michigan, Ohio State, or Penn State. We don't want to be embarrassed on national television. Why even show up? Just forfeit. Okay, here's the deal. Yes, against one of those three teams, Iowa most likely would lose. There's no doubt about that. And just for the record, I picked Wisconsin to win this game, guys. I did. I forgot to mention that earlier in the episode. But yes, more than likely, Iowa would lose against one of those three teams. I mean, we already saw what Penn State did to them earlier this season, 31-0 in Happy Valley. But, you know, saying, hey, we don't want to be there, why show up? That's really just loser talk and a loser's mentality. Anytime you have a chance to play for a Rose Bowl bid, you're going to do that. Okay, you just are. To play in the holiest of all grounds and the biggest and best cathedral in our sport, the Rose Bowl, out in Pasadena, you're going to take your chances, okay? So no more of this, let's not show up, let's not do it, we're going to get embarrassed. Anytime you have a chance for that, you're going to do it, all right? And plus, let's say Iowa runs the table. They end up going 11-1 in the regular season, and by some miraculous events, they knock off, let's say, the Big Ten East winner, who might be undefeated. I mean, then potentially is Iowa, because they have to be in the college football playoff discussion. They are, based on that, okay? Because the Big Ten is going to get at least one CFP participant this season. They just are, if maybe not two, if things shake out the way I think they could. So yeah, enough of that. That's just losers mentality. Oh, don't play. We don't want them to win. Just shut up. Okay, Iowa fans who are like that, just stop. Okay? Well, that's really about it. Where we go from here, I said Iowa hosts Minnesota. Wisconsin travels to Champaign. Really big games for both of these teams, but yeah, I can't wait for week 8. And that's crazy to say that. It's so depressing. I mean, I look outside. It's a cold, damp, dreary, overcast day here in Missouri. 40 some degrees. I got to get outside and do some yard work. It's flying by. I mean, the season gets faster and faster every season for us. It just does. But I'll let you guys go on that. I really appreciate your time, your attention. Please, I encourage and welcome and ask, don't make me beg, but I would, for your participation. Comment, like, share, subscribe. Let's help the channel find more college football fans just like you. I can't wait to read your comments, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday and your weekend. I will be back tomorrow with my big Week 7 review and recap episode, which will cover everything that happened over this weekend in college football. So until tomorrow, enjoy the rest of your day. I'm History. Study me. Bye-bye.